What do you get when you bring writers together for some fun and games?
Writers Virtual Table.
Welcome to Writers Virtual Table. I am your host, Casey Bell, and today we have some amazing writers who are going to have some fun with me. There are absolutely no prizes, no trophies, no stickers, nothing. They're just going to play a lot of fun games, and then I'm going to let them go. So I'm going to allow each one to introduce themselves. So we are going to start with Kat. Kat, please introduce yourself to the audience. Oh, give them give them your name, how you started writing, and your first book you published. What was the process like?
Well, my name is Kathrin Hutson. I write dark fantasy, dystopian sci-fi, and most recently, dark urban fantasy adventure. And I have been writing since I was 10, which I haven't been writing, anywhere near what I write now since I was 10, but that's when I started writing. And I have been writing professionally full-time for the last 2.5 years now, which is awesome. And the very first book I published is called Daughter of the Dragon. It's book one of my Ginona's Children duology. It's grimdark fantasy. It's the Jungle Book meets Kill Bill with dragons. And that was published in October of 2015. The process for that was pretty cool, actually. I had been writing this book for about 9 years. Before I came back to it, decided to query traditional agents to get it picked up. I racked up about 116 rejection letters for that book. So I said, okay, I will try out the traditional, or the indie route. I'll do this on my own. That started my indie author career. And a year after, it was about 8 months after I published Daughter of the Dragon, it became an Amazon bestseller. I think it was like number 229 out of everything in the Amazon store. So that was really fun and reaffirmed my suspicion, I guess, that I had something going. So I decided to continue my journey that way.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing.
Mm-hmm.
Mitch, tell us I already gave your name, but tell us your name, how you started writing, and your first book you published. What was the process like?
Thanks, Casey. I am Mitch Gray. I am a leadership and personal development coach. I began writing when I was, 12 or 13 years old, started writing poetry, then music. And then I didn't start writing books until my 20s or so. Really loved music and poetry in my teen years. So my first book, all the books until my newest one were all inspirational / spiritual. And so my first book was called The Cross Between. It was a spiritual book. And that's actually the only book that I went with a more traditional publisher at the time. My last few books I've gone kind of indie, independent. And so the process was interesting. I sold maybe 20 copies and gave away about 1,000. And that's, normally the route that most people end up having to take, right? Just kind of a hustle and grind. And so, I think every creator creates more for themselves than for other people. And then we're super lucky if anyone else buys into it, right? And that's kind of the blessing of it all. So, so that's where we are.
Awesome. And Marie, same questions. Your name,
Great.
How you started writing, and everything else.
All right. Well, I'm Marie Powell, and I write fantasy, mostly speculative fiction. I have more than 45 children's books published at this point, including 2 young adult novels, which are my most recent ones, Last of the Gifted, Spirit Sight and Water Sight, and mostly with traditional publishers. So I'm kind of like the opposite of everybody else here, I guess. I started writing when I was 6 years old because next door neighbor was babysitting me, and she asked me to write a book. So I wrote a book for her, and we stapled it together. I read it to her because, I mean, obviously it was emergent writing, right? But yeah, so I mean, I've always loved stories and reading and writing, and got read to a lot as a kid. So pretty natural, I guess, for me to, grow up and become a writer. I was a journalist, though, for a long time. And so then I made that sort of transition. I always wrote poetry and short fiction, but it was never any good, right? But I did eventually make the transition to writing books, and, started with short stories, had some short stories and poetry published. And my first book was with Scholastic Education. It's called Dragonflies Are Amazing. It's a gorgeous little book. It's a grade 2 guided reader, which started me off. I had been a library programmer for a few years by that point, and I kind of interested in literacy. Right now, I double as an ESL teacher for the LINK program in Canada, which is language instruction for newcomers to Canada. So anyway, a lot of my young books, my books for younger children, are actually geared to convincing kids, I guess, attracting kids to read. They're for reluctant readers and that type of thing. But my new series is not. It's medieval fantasy and quite the opposite, kind of a little bit on the literary side. And I also had a good amount of funding from here. I'm in Regina, Saskatchewan, which is Treaty 4 territory. And so I have very good funding here from Creative Saskatchewan to do my new series. So I was really pleased with that. And that is where I'm at right now. So.
Awesome. That's something I did forget to ask. So you're in Canada, right?
Yeah.
So Mitch and Kat, where are you at?
I'm in Colorado in the United States.
Okay.
I am evidently Kat's southern neighbor. I am in New Mexico in the United States. So
Right.
not far from each other. Yeah.
No, great.
Cool. I'm in New Jersey.
All right.
Far away from all of you.
Yeah, we're all far away. That's great.
So, all right. Hold on. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this message.
How to hire and keep great people. A great guide for finding great people, designing great culture, and developing your dream team. How to hire and keep great people by Mitch Gray.
And we are back. All right, and our next section is Ask a Question. So Marie, you're going to start us off, and you are going to ask Mitch a question.
Okay, Mitch. So I know that you write inspirational books, spiritual books, and I wonder if you can tell us a little bit about how you started in that process. Why did you choose that particular genre? Yeah,
great question. Actually, my newest book is a business book. So it's kind of a turn. I'll get to promote that later. But since I was 10 years old, all I wanted to do was be a pastor. That was it. And play professional basketball, but I was about 4 inches too short for that. So that's all I wanted to do. And so really until I was probably, 33, 34 years old, that was kind of what drove me. So, all of my writing, all of my music, for the most part, I toured, played music for a long, long time as well. And everything was kind of spiritual / Christian was the environment I grew up in. And in my mid-30s, I took a huge pivot and left Christianity and left church and left all that behind. And the last decade has been interesting. So it's been fun. But yeah, for the first part of my life, that's all I wanted to do. And so that's kind of how my books manifested, was very spiritual. And I still, my approach is still very spiritual. Removing all the religion aspect from it, which, a lot of all my books beforehand were Christian based. So yeah, that's kind of where it's at, and that's all I knew, and life happened, right?
Cool. Excellent.
Thank you. All right. Kathrin, ask Marie a question.
All right. So Marie, you said that you write fantasy mostly, when it's not children's books, and then you went into speculative fiction as an overarching genre, which I know a lot of people who have asked me, what is speculative fiction? Because I say that as well. So I'm very curious to hear what else besides fantasy and children's books goes within the speculative fiction realm that you write.
Okay, well, myself, speculative fiction has a lot of different aspects to it. It could be science fiction, could be, thrillers, horror, you name it. I'm kind of into the ghost stories. And so all of my speculative fiction has some kind of possession or ghost story to it. Something to do with, I guess you could say, life after death, a little bit following along Mitch there. But, and that's, so I have short stories, for example, that have ghosts in them or that relate to ghosts in some way, or to the past influencing the present, like something from a person's past, sort of encroaching into their present and causing them to do weird things, and some kind of, I guess, paranormal or supernatural gift or supernatural moment or something like that. So that's kind of where my writing sits in the speculative fiction realm or
umbrella,
range,
yeah,
or umbrella or whatever, yes, whatever we want to call it. Yeah, good.
Wonderful.
Thank you. And finally, Mitch asked Kathrin a question.
Kat, what is your favorite aspect of developing a character?
Oh, that's a really fantastic question. My favorite aspect is developing them and getting to know them as I'm writing their story. I have only very recently just become a pseudo plotter. So I will map out a series or write out some beats for the book, and that's 4,000 to 5,000 words. Beyond that, I don't touch any kind of planning because the forward momentum of discovering who my characters are, what they've done, what they have experienced that will be leading them through their journey as well, because it's never just the present, right? Like Marie has said, I get to learn everything about them at the same time as my readers do while they're going through the books, of course, obviously later. And I will say that every single one of my characters, no matter who they are or where they came from, has always surprised me because of that, probably. But I love getting to see where they're going in the moment. And I did actually describe writing my characters in a way that I had heard was pretty cool when I said it. It's like watching, your neighbor walk past your house on the street. If you don't speak to them every day, you only get a snippet of their life right there, and they're walking their dog or what have you down the street. And that, for me, writing my characters is the same as if I were to creepily come out of my house and follow that neighbor down the street and watch them during the rest of their day. So that's how I prefer to develop my characters in the moment.
Awesome.
Thank you. All right, so this will be airing July 19th, but today is June 3rd. Do any of you know what PitMat is, and are any of you taking part in it?
I know what it is, but I'm not
Part.
taking part. Yeah. Hope you guys
So no.
didn't hear that.
No.
Do you know what it is?
Yes.
Yes. Oh,
I
Yes.
don't.
Yeah.
You
I
don't?
don't.
Okay.
No.
So PitMad is a hashtag on Twitter. PIT stands for pitch. And basically you write out a pitch for a book you've written that's unpublished. And if a publishing company likes it, they'll contact you to possibly publish the book. And I think June 3rd is the official day of it every year. I don't know. I know I saw it last year, but I don't remember when I saw it, what day it was. But yeah, but that's PitMat. I just thought I'd mention it, being that today is the actual day.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so next section, judge a book by its cover. I am going to show you a book cover, and then all you have to do is look at it. You get 30 seconds to come up with a title, a main character, a plot, and a genre. All right? Okay, hold on.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this message.
Kathrin, what do you see?
All right. I'll call this book Not My Cake. And that would be a sort of like a murder mystery, cozy mystery comedy combination. I'm going to go with main character being a woman in her 60s who is running a struggling bakery and trying to make ends meet when along comes a stranger who interrupts all her day-to-day life, and she ends up killing people. Ta-da!
Wonderful. Okay, Mitch, what do you say?
Okay, this book is called The Wild Evidence of Wedding Misdemeanors. The character is Lucy Johnson, and I'm going to say this is a sensual thriller mystery slash horror, possibly. Lucy is a serial killer who befriends people and becomes a bridesmaid at countless weddings, eventually knocking off the groom, only the groom. That is The Wild Evidence of Wedding Party Misdemeanors. Yeah.
I like that. Marie?
I'm going to call this one Let Him Eat Cake. After 30 years of marriage and putting up with his philandering ways, she had a special anniversary gift for him that would cut a special slice into his life. And this is a thriller suspense ending in, shall we say, liberation.
Yes.
Great stories. Well, now you all can take part in Pit Mat if you want.
Yeah, with those, it's perfect.
I was going to say, you've definitely inspired us, Casey. You've definitely inspired us.
Okay, so our next section is called Who is That Character? I am going to show you a character's name, and all you have to do is guess the title of the book, the plot, and the genre, but you do not have to draw or design the cover for it.
The gateway opens. The Laneroth lies. And the Guardian's out of time. With her deadly magic now restored, Jessica Northwood is finally whole. But the last ruthless fragment of her past still hunts her down to finish what she started, and there's nowhere left to hide. Alona Andrews' Innkeeper Chronicles meets the magicians in this snarky, fast-paced urban fantasy adventure from international best-selling author Kathrin Hutson.
And we are back.
Okay, Mitch, who is Gile Frab?
Gile Frab is a featured character in a book called The Mysteries of the Underground. Gile Frab is a wildly popular scientist who never gets it right. And so Gile Frab feels like he discovers amazing things like dinosaur bones and ancient societies, etc., but really they're nothing at all. But he has no idea that they're nothing at all. That's Gile Frab.
Awesome. Kathrin, who is Gile Frab?
Excuse me. All right. Gile Frab is a smuggler aboard a space station way away across the universe. In the book titled Against the Grain, and this is sci-fi. This smuggler, Gile Frab, finds herself in the midst of a revolt on board the space station, and has to smuggle herself out of the chaos.
Amazing.
Super.
And Marie, who is Gile Frab?
Oh, well, Gile Frab is a paranormal private investigator with a special ability to channel the world of the afterlife, and he can communicate with let's make her a she can communicate with the dead. This is paranormal urban fantasy, and Gile Frab uses her special exotic powers to solve mysteries for the city of let's make it Regina, Saskatchewan. Why not?
Well, I want to thank our writers so much for joining me on So Much Fun. Kathrin, if you can let everyone know your latest book that you've published, and if you are working on anything, what are you working on?
Yes. Well, first of all, thank you for having me on with everyone else as well, Casey. This has been fun. The latest book that I published is book 4 in my newest urban fantasy series, Accessory to Magic. And book 5 will be out very, very soon as well. So I'm still working on that, drawing up the final conclusion to Jessica Northwood's chaotic journey in crossing between worlds and saving both of them with the help of her magical sentient bank and Faye sidekick. And was that everything?
Yes.
You wanted to know about the latest book. So that's what I'm currently working on now, and I am neck deep in the series. I'm really excited for that to be finished.
Awesome, thank you. And Mitch, what's your latest book, and are you working on anything at the moment?
My latest book that will release the end of June, How to Hire and Keep Great People. Your go-to guide for finding great people, designing great culture, and developing your dream team. So it'll be out the end of June. Yeah, I'm working on my next book. It'll probably be out in a year, but it'll be another book focused on leadership as well. So.
Great. And of course, Marie, what is your latest book, and what are you working on at the moment?
Thank you so much for asking, Casey. My latest book that I'm just brought out a few months ago, Last of the Gifted Water Sight, which is book 2 in the Last of the Gifted series. This is a series set in 13th century Wales, and it's about 2 siblings who pledge their magical abilities to protect their people from the invading English army, with a little help from the last true Prince of Wales after his murder. Hugh is a warrior in training with a special ability to control the minds of animals and birds and eventually transform into animals and birds of his choice. His sister Kathrin can see the future in a drop of water, and she is the heroine of Water Sight, pardon me. And it carries into 1283 with this story. Katrin Kathrin's gift of second sight is the hope of finding 3 relics to rally the Welsh. If she can outwit the English lord who wants to use her gifts to basically capture the would-be prince. Hugh, her brother, is on the run with the prince and the dwindling Welsh army. They are, of course, betrayed. Hugh takes refuge in his gift, and with her brother trapped in his magic and her betrothed in an English prison, Kathrin faces the impossible choice: save her brother or save the one she loves. So that's the story.
Awesome. Thank you so much, all of you, for joining me today on Writers Virtual's Table. That is all the time we have for you today. Thank you again to Kathrin, Mitch, and Marie for joining me, and to you, the audience. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Have a great week. Goodbye.